acquire absolute pitch by using a learning box. This is derived from a method used to memorize words in a foreign language. The native words are written on the front side of cards. On the back side, their foreign translation is written. You go through the cards and try to give the answer on the back. Correct remembered words will move to the last position in the next bin. If you make an error, the word will stay in the first bin and will be placed in the last position. The task is to move all cards to the last bin. Because incorrect remembered words go back to the first bin, you will repeat words which you fail to remember correctly more often, since the missed words have to go through all bins again. Instead of words, we will use notes. First, you select up to 18 notes out of 48 notes. Start with a few notes which you can sing comfortably. For this demo, I will choose C4, D4, E4 and F4. I will also select Trainingsmode, so you can see the pitch progression. When done with the selection, click Go to start the exercise. When the exercise starts, the following screen is presented. Depending on the exercise you started, you will hit the bullseye when you match the pitch within the displayed deviation. In our demo, we have selected an accuracy of 50 cents. Here we see our selected notes. The first note is also shown on the staff. After a moment, Felix will start counting 3, 4. Then it is your turn to sing the note. To easier remember the sounds, we recommend to use solfege syllables. That is Do, Re, Mi, Fa. Since for absolute pitch it is important to have the sound correct in your mind, we recommend that you start singing during the count-off. This allows you to adjust your voice in case the tension is not what you expected. In this way, you can bring your vocal cords in a position to match the sound you remember. In this way, when the actual evaluation starts, you are not hindered by a mechanical inconvenience and your inner ear gets tested. The first pitch evaluated will also set the arrow's direction. That is, if you start too high, the arrow will point down. If you start too low, the arrow will point up. And if you were in the chosen tolerance, the arrow will be straight. This initial expression of your inner ear is so important that this direction of the arrow will be kept until the target is reached. As long as you stay within the selected cents, the arrow will go straight towards the target. If you miss that goal, the arrow will move away from the center line. You cannot bring the arrow back to the center line by changing your pitch to the opposite side, because the arrow line shows the cumulated error. To see the deviation from the target pitch, you have to refer to the pitch line on the staff. Keep in mind that the pitch line is only shown in Trainingsmode. Now it is your turn. Try to sing the note C4. Do not worry if you cannot hit the note. In the real exercises, you can choose notes which better fit you. Okay, let's go. Did you notice that after the fail sound, the correct sound was played 2 times? If you stay within the limits, an arpeggiated major triad with the tested note as a root note will be played. In the first lesson, the program will accept a very large tolerance. You may be more than a whole tone off, and the note will still be evaluated to correct. This will show you that it is not too difficult to sing from the aural memory. By relaxing and remembering approximately how you did form your vocal cords last time when you were correct, you will repeat the same sound and get a hit or near hit for the note. The large tolerance allowed will probably accept it as a match. Notes accepted will travel to the right. The goal is to get all the notes you selected to the most right bin. Confused? Why should you get evaluated correct for a note which is sung a whole note off? Simply to show you that you can hit, or in this case near hit, a note from your oral memory. If you succeed to remember the notes to such a wide tolerance, you move on to a more narrow tolerance. Lesson 2 still allows you to be off more than a semitone. However, this time you have to remember more precisely than the last time. During this process, you will discover that for some notes you have less problems to fulfill this task than for others. The learning box helps you to improve these weak notes. At the same time, your brain will develop new techniques and tricks to remember a note better. Your ability to imagine a sound will get better. When you have reached the goal that your near hits are in this narrower range, go to the next level, which has an even more narrow band. To acquire absolute pitch, you have to do the exercises for smaller tolerances. Since singing allows all pitches between the notes, this will force you to better memorize the note to get a hit with a smaller tolerance. If you can hit all the notes with a precision of 7 cents, then you are a professional singer and have perfect pitch. To get such good results involves also voice training. However, a precision of 33 cents is okay and reachable without special voice training. If you reach that goal, you can say that you have absolute pitch. You even know to which precision you can hit the notes. Most likely, you do not have a voice range of 4 octaves. Therefore, we have created another exercise. In this exercise, you only have to identify the heard note. There is no singing required. However, the octave anchor pitches method is far less effective for learning than the singing funnel method. With the singing method, you have to conceptualize the note. With your inner ear and thus you will build tonal memory. The exercise Recognize the Note has also a trainings mode. As a beginner, you should really use this mode extensively. In the normal test, you are presented randomly a note within the range of C2 to C6. If you did not do a lot of formal training recognizing notes, you will fail miserably. Therefore, you can exclude single notes. For example, C#4. Or even better, as a starter, exclude whole octaves. In our first test, we will include only a few notes, which are an octave apart. That is, we select C2, C3, C4, C5 and C6. Now, the exercise will present you only these 5 notes. You should very fast recognize all 5 notes with ease, since they are pretty far apart. Okay, let us look how the exercise works. The exercise never finishes. You have to click quit if you want to exit the training. Each note contains a counter in the corner. This counter tells you how many times you have hit the note. Similar to the learning box, the counter resets to 0 if you make an error. If you have identified a note 7 times correctly, the count will no more increase. In this way, if you reach a total of 35 points for all 5 notes in this test, you have reached the maximum number of points possible. Now it is your turn. Click on the note you hear. If tomorrow you do the exercise again, you will probably miss the first note. But after that, you will recognize the following notes again easily. This is because your brain has quickly switched to relative pitch. The brain will give you the correct answer based on the previous note. That is, the brain compares the actual pitch in relation to the previous heard pitch. Just to make it clear, I will demonstrate relative pitch with a well-known song. Can you recognize the following melody? I can safely assume that in the Western Christian world, the melody is recognized as Silent Night from Franz Xaver Gruber. Listen again to the same melody. There's something different here, but you would still say the melody is Silent Night. The only difference is the second sample starts from G4 instead of C4. In both cases, you could easily assign the melody to Silent Night. This is because the notes after the starting note have the same relative distance to the starting note, respectively to the previous note. The red numbers showing the change all correspond to each other. You did not have to do complex math to recognize the melody, which proves that your brain works well with relative pitch. The absolute pitches of the notes are meaningless in the recognition process of a melody. Where's the crux? The main problem is that when you start an exercise and have made the first tones correct, that most likely you will detect the other notes with relative pitch skills. That is, you will improve your relative pitch skills, which is perfect, because, as he pointed out on other occasions, relative pitch is more important than absolute pitch. For example, if the piano you should accompany is slightly tuned off, you should tune your instrument also slightly off. The two instruments should be tuned to each other. Otherwise, the combined sounds are not in harmony. This preference of harmony is probably also the reason why in the Western world absolute pitch is rare. Our intelligent brain did not find a good reason to learn absolute pitch. Unless, as a child, you were exposed to pitch exercises or musical training in any form, there is nothing rewarding in childhood to having absolute pitch. Absolute pitch is only a relation between a frequency and a name. For example, the frequency 440 Hz was chosen to be named the concert pitch A4. In contrast, relative pitch will give you harmony. Your brain likes to generalize concepts and apply these concepts afterwards. For example, when you are a child, you will go through a stage in which you will generalize grammatical rules. That is, you probably will say, "My brother goes to the school," instead of "My brother went to the school." The brain has to learn exceptions in a separate effort. Relative pitch is a general concept and used throughout music systems in all countries of the world. The starting frequency, in fact the key, determines the overtones, the other frequencies which harmonize with that key. To be able to detect a frequency and to assign it a name is just an assignment process. Nothing more can be done with it. There is no relation to other notes. It is an isolated, albeit highly specialized, detection skill. Let us assume you can detect the frequencies to a precision of 1 Hz. Then there is no need for note names. You could answer questions about pitch with the physical unit, the frequency. When you hear a sound which swings with 1043 Hz, and then another which swings with 1041 Hz, then if you can differentiate these two sounds, if they are an hour apart, congratulations, very good. A person with absolute pitch would say it sounds like a C6, even though the exact frequency in the equal-tempered tuning system for C6 is 1046.5 Hz. So the assignment process, a frequency to a note name, is not very precise, but good enough for many situations. However, ear training to the scent is very helpful for relative pitch too. Again, assume a pipe plays the lead melody, which you should accompany with your guitar. Unfortunately, it is a very hot day. The increase of the airspeed with the temperature lets the pipe produce higher frequencies. The length expansion through the high temperature compensates that effect a little bit, but not enough. Therefore, the pipe deviates from the perfect equal tempered tuning to a little bit higher frequencies. The high temperature alters all notes of the pipe, so that the notes still fit well to each other. If your ear is trained to hear small differences, and you recognize such subtle relative pitch differences, you should tune your guitar to the frequencies of the lead pipe. In this way, your guitar will harmonize much better. It does not make sense to stick to perfect equal tempered frequencies. It is more important to harmonize with the lead pipe than to have an isolated, perfect equal tempered tuned instrument. Of course, it will sound okay. However, to be in perfect harmony will sound awesome. Coming back to our ear training. Sooner or later you will discover that you can carry these 5 notes in the sample exercise over to the next day, or even longer after some training, by concentrating on the recognition process instead of just guessing. If you are successful with these 5 notes, then you can say you have absolute pitch, albeit with an inaccuracy of 1200 cents. That is, you can recognize the notes C2, C3, C4, C5 and C6 if they are played correctly. You can now start adding other notes and slowly improve your absolute pitch ability. Remember, it is not absolute pitch you're after. It is ear training to improve relative pitch. Even though the program allows you to do absolute pitch training, you will do most of the time relative pitch training. To do absolute pitch training is boring, since you have to turn off the program for about 15 minutes. During that time, you should make some non-music related activity. And you must make this pause. Otherwise, after a few successful notes, the training will be most likely relative pitch. On the other hand, as explained above, you really want to improve relative pitch. So be impatient and improve your relative pitch. Absolute pitch may become less important to you when you fully realize the advantages of relative pitch. If you train on a daily basis with the singing method, which forces you to conceptualize the notes with your inner ear, you may get absolute pitch without even going after it. This is not surprising, since if your skill to differentiate gets more and more precise, you will get more secure that a particular note lies within the tolerance required to be assigned a particular name. Bingo! You can name the note with confidence. As a musician, you should do ear training to get a precise ear which can distinguish subtle frequency differences. Hence, the program allows you to do training up to a precision of 7 cents. Oh, I forgot to mention that absolute pitch gets acquired fastest in childhood. During that time, the child starts to listen to language and also starts to utter sounds. In this way, there is a close relationship between speaking and listening. Or more generalized, the child learns to control the vocal cords by listening. This is what the singing method does. It brings you back to a similar environment for learning. This is also a reason why the singing method to train your listening skills is more effective than any note-guessing game. And another tip if you strive for absolute pitch. Use scale degree numbers for scale trainings and warm-ups. Scale degrees represent the function of a note better in words than solfege syllables. Use fixed do for ear training. It helps associate sounds to names. Have fun with the program Listening Ear Trainer and find out to which precision you can remember the notes.